All right, guys, welcome to the stream. Hope everybody's doing good today. So today we're going to be turning one of those Gisi style pen blanks into a pen. So it should be pretty quick one today, actually, I think. Shouldn't take too long, but I thought it'd be really fun to turn one of those up. So I know a lot of people, especially on like Instagram, I guess Instagram for sure, didn't really know what the Gisi blanks were or what you did with them. So I wanted to turn one up so that I had something to show people. And then the rest of them I'll probably put up on my website in the short run section. But thought we'd do that today. It'll be kind of quick. It's pretty hot in the shop, so I'm a little bit kind of... resin casting in hot temperatures is not very fun. So I thought we'd turn a pen. I can turn the fan on. It'll be pretty cool. So it looks like the chat is flying already. So real quick before I kind of see what's happening in the chat, let's switch to this view and I'll show you which one I picked. Basically, I picked this one. You guys can probably see that one color is a little low. Somehow I kind of messed that up. All the rest of them turned out good, but that's the one that I decided to turn just in case, you know, that was a little bit too low. So I just basically, you can cut off the outsides of these things beforehand, but to be honest, it's a lot easier just leaving them intact and then, getting everything prepped. So I ended up, while I was barrel trimming this and cutting, getting the ends flushed, part of the outsides of that thing, the 3D print kind of came off, but got it all trimmed up. We got our bushings ready to rock. There we go, get them in there. So this is going to be a Sierra pen blank, or a Sierra pen, I should say. And so it should go pretty well. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. So let's see here. The other ones that we did, I did these yesterday. So these are the ones that we did on the stream. And for anybody that's watching and didn't see this, go check out last week's episode where we did a couple different things. Now these two are actually made using a 3D printed little mold thing, and then we just filled it with some resin. And then these, actually this one's also a 3D print. And then this one we actually, let's see, how did this work? I guess we cast these three. That's right. So don't look at what the filling was. We made these three molds, and I filled them yesterday, but we used these little silicone molds from P-Town Subby. You can get them at Turner's Warehouse to make the little mold things. And then, like I said, yesterday I went back and filled in some colors, and I was pretty happy with some of these colors. So here are the two. We kind of just went for like a weird, like a dirty pour. I haven't seen any where people just kind of poured a mishmash of color. Usually people kind of take the time to fill different colors like we did on this one. So I thought we'd try that, see how it works. And then the other ones that we did, so I really liked this color combo. We got some purple, some teal, that Phoenix orange, and then I did a little bit of silver in the middle of this one. And so we did kind of opposite colors. You can see teal and purple and teal and purple. This one I'm pretty excited about. It doesn't look like much, but this mold that we made, we used blue, like aqua glow-in-the-dark powder. And I just filled the whole thing with black, and I thought this might be a really cool thin blue line type of blank. So we'll have to kind of see how that goes. And then the other two I just kind of, got a little crazy with, had some fun, put some colors in there. So like I said, did those yesterday. So we got lots of things. Now, for anybody that wants to make Gisi blank molds, so these things make the outside mold that has the little divisions in it, and then you'd fill the colors. But if you want to make your own and don't want to 3D print them out, you can pick up these silicone molds at Turner's Warehouse. So let me go grab you guys a link in the chat room here. So I'll post that real quick, just in case you want to go and check it out. And there we go. So now let me stop and catch up on the chat because you guys have been talking. Hey, what's up, Jen? Jim, Mark's up here. NWL Productions, how's it going? Shayla, nice. Glad to have you. Let me switch to this view, I guess. You can kind of look at my face while I'm reading these things. I don't know. Let's see here. 11 p.m. Yeah, that's true. It is nighttime on the other side of the world over there. Let's see. Ken's here. This should be a quick one, I know. Actually, I do want to start getting some t-shirts made up. I have a few designs. I want to get the Dunkin' Junk circle thing. and probably like an NV Woodworks, and but I want to come up with some fun T-shirts also, and I want to build a Teespring. Is that what it's called? Teespring thing, and then I'll have it on my YouTube channel, and I'm probably going to do my stickers there too. Hey, Monkey Skull's here. How's it going? So T-shirts, hopefully one of these days when I get around to doing them. I just got to kind of figure out getting the graphics on them and setting up that little kind of Teespring store thing. So let's see here. Hey, gee whiz, Tux Game Calls. How's it going? Oklahoma, nice. Shauna's from Idaho. How's it going? That's not too far, just a little up north from us. Ohio in the house, nice. Let's see here. UK, another UK. How's it going, Susan? All right, so, and Mike Schmitz is here. How's it going, man? Am I having fun yet? I'm always having fun. So let's, yeah, I'm going to move the camera over. There's not a lot more to really discuss. I don't think I have any news and or updates necessarily. Not that I can think of. It's so hot I can't think anyway. So let's just do some turning so I can turn the fan on. That's one thing. I've been doing a little bit of turning. I didn't record the stuff that I was doing. But I did, well, actually, I should probably show you guys. I'll show you over on the lathe, kind of a quick thing what I made. I actually turned up that big stone coat countertops blank. And I did something kind of weird. It's not finished yet, but what am I doing? I got to get the cable over there. So I guess I'll show you guys that. I just kind of decided I wanted to just, I don't know, I didn't really want to video it. I wasn't sure how the blank was going to turn out anyway. And that was the one that I kind of screwed the pour up on. I wanted to make it mostly clear and then just add a little bit of pearl, and I screwed up while I was doing it, and I knew I knew that I screwed up the minute that I did it. And so I just wasn't sure how it was going to turn out, so I just decided I want to turn this, have a little fun, not worry about having to videotape anything, mess around with it. So I'll show you what's going on with this thing. At first I was going to go for a sphere, and then I kind of saw this shape emerging, and I thought, I've been getting into hollowing lately, so I thought I'm going to do a little bit of hollowing. So I don't like the base of this because it would sit like this, but it's kind of just a little vase jar kind of pot thing. Turned fine. The stone coat stuff so far, I haven't turned anything that was like problematic or different or weird. It's kind of typical epoxy turning. I also did that, just add a little coat of finish for the inside and the outside of this, and I'm kind of digging that on bigger pieces. Now this finish didn't turn out so well, but it was so dusty I really shouldn't have finished it when I did, because there was just a bunch of dust in the air. But just kind of having a little bit of fun with the #1 hollower. What I plan to do, I don't like I said, this base is kind of just awkward. I'm just going to kind of come in here and kind of turn this off and make it more just kind of bulbous on the bottom and not have this kind of weird cylinder. But it's kind of a cool piece, so I thought I'd show you guys. Just got to basically kind of part that off, you know, finish up the base, and then that little piece will be done. I don't really have any plans to do anything with it. Just wanted to do a little bit of testing with that stone coat. All right. Oh, I forgot my iPad again. Dang it. So what I'm going to be doing here is we're going to turn between centers. You guys kind of know the drill, most of you. How I do pens. I don't like mandrels. I think that they're just, I mean, they're just inaccurate generally. They come out of the box bent, and if they aren't bent already, then you'll probably bend them really quick. So what I'm using here are TBC, turning between center bushings. Make sure I'm on the camera here. They just pop into the ends, and then let me zoom out the camera so you can see. Like I said, I know most of you guys know the drill on this. Probably do this yourselves. But what we have here is a dead center, they call this. It's just a 60-degree cone tucked into the Morse taper. And then on the other end, we got a 60-degree live center. And the blank just fits right between centers. It's the most accurate way that I've found to turn. I just don't really like those mandrels. And let's see here, I got some new tool rests. I have the robust low profile, and I don't like the thing. Can't get your finger underneath there. So we're going to go with So what I got was the regular one, the Comfort Rest, they call it, I think. Comfort. It's very comforting. Okay. So I think we're ready to rock. I'm going to turn the fan on because I'm hot and it'll blow my shavings away from my face. Being a square blank, I'm probably just going to start out with my spindle gouge. I just kind of find square blanks, cutting tools knock the corners off a little easier. And then I'm going to switch back over to the Easy Wood tools because I find carbide kind of works better in general once I've gotten it round. All right, so let's see here. You know what? I have my iPad, so hold on real quick, guys. I'm going to go get it so I can at least look at the chat every once in a while instead of have to go over to my computer every time. And that way I can see who's rabble-rousing. So what are you guys all up to? Is it getting hot in your part of the country, the world? It's kind of warm here. Although we've had a little bit of a break. The last couple days have been kind of rainy a little bit. Still kind of hot, but you know the drill. A little bit hot, but it just kind of knocks off it takes some edge off of that heat. Oh, I got to turn the internet on. So I'm going to go over here and just kind of read the comments on my computer real quick. Am I going to the Mid-Ohio? No, but that is coming up in September, I believe. Yeah, I'm not doing any other events this year, so just don't have the travel budget. Eric from Ohio, what's up? The Wood Doctor, how's it going? Mobile, Alabama. Utah, Louisiana, Lafayette, nice. Tennessee, wow. While you work on your solar farm, nice, that's cool. Hey, thanks, Matthew. I'm glad that the channel's been helpful. Oh, Christina doesn't have work. How's it going? That's good to hear. From South Carolina, I'm guessing, SC? Let's see here. Every time I see SC, I think of University of, like, USC. Southern California. Let's see here. Lots of people. Man, 90 degrees, 80 to 90% humidity. No thanks. Austin, Texas. How's it going, Dust Ashes? I really like Austin, Texas. It's one of my favorite places ever. A good friend of mine lives there. Scorching hot, Mississippi. Oh, man. 100 plus. Oof. It's only 77 near Boise. You know what? I really think I need to check out Idaho. I've never actually been to Idaho before, and it's something that's on my list. 80 degrees, Staten Island. Man. Whoo-wee. Tell you what, guys. It's hot. Now I got to find my channel. Sorry we're messing around here. But let's see here. What am I doing? I should really like prepare for things sometime. That would probably make things go a lot faster. Okay, I'm almost ready now. We're almost there. All right. Oh yes. Now I gotta watch an ad. Not signed in, so I can't chat here, but I can watch it. Lots of I'm not sure what you're saying, Robert. Too hot. That's all. I'm getting too hot. Yep, I hear you. Let me make sure that I'm set up right. A little bit lower, I think. And we'll start knocking this thing. Now I'm just going to turn this thing up for anybody that's kind of new to pen turning. I just, really fast is best. There's really nowhere that blank's going to go. Now I am going to put a face shield on because this thing's using a 3D printed outside thing, like the little mold that we poured the resin in. And I don't want any little 3D printed pieces coming off at me. They could. So I'm hitting the face mask for sure. And here we go. All right, so let's stop and see what's happening. Just about through the 3D printed part. Let me get behind the camera and make sure that you guys got a, it's kind of dark it looks like over here. I should probably wipe my lights off again. Kind of zoom in here. I'm gonna get a light for you guys. It just seems like it's kind of dark. A light behind the camera shining down on this thing, and that ought to help out a little bit. It'll probably help me out too. I usually use the, you know, like one of these really high-powered LEDs. So there we go. You guys can see it. So it's looking good. We got a little bit more 3D printed stuff. I kind of screwed up this one little channel. So it's a little low, but I think that we're going to be okay. I'm just going to have to make sure that I shape it below that level, and it should be fine. I didn't want to sell this blank having a giant void. I could have probably filled it if I really wanted to, but no big deal. I figured it'll be all right. So we got a little bit more of this stuff to kind of come off. You can kind of see that it, I don't know, it's just kind of chippy, and good idea to wear a face mask just to be safe. But it's looking pretty cool with these. We did, let's see, this is like a transparent green 3D printed thing, and it's got some really neat looking lines in there. I like it. Interesting when you move it, the light kind of shines off it different. So pretty cool. I think we're looking pretty good here. So we'll zoom you guys out a little bit. I'm gonna hit that face mask again. Scoot the rest up a little bit. Alright, so I'm just wanting to look. Yeah, we'll be fine on this. We're almost, that little divot thing, or you know, the low spot, that's not a big deal. We'll turn that out. I'm telling you, the air hose is probably my favorite tool in the shop. It just takes care of those ribbons right away for you. Look at that, looking pretty cool. So hopefully, if anybody that's watching didn't really know what these Gisi things were all about, hopefully you can see what you're doing is, you know, using those different little cavities, you know, and filling them with like different colors or whatever. And then having those division lines, you can make what looks like a segmented pen by just filling it with resin. You know, rather than having to glue a bunch of small pieces together, you can get some really cool designs on these things, you know, just using the resin, and it's pretty cool. I'm really excited when they came out with, you know, those molds for these things. I was pretty stoked because, you know, there's a lot of things that you can do with these things. You get a lot of really cool effects, and you get, you know, once you turn it round, you get different kind of looks. You know, those straight lines turn into different kind of almost scallop looking things, and I don't know, pretty cool. Pretty cool. I think I need, that's the brand new tool rest. I should have sanded it. In fact, I think I'm gonna real quick see if I can get it a little bit smoother. Zoom you guys out so you can see what I'm doing. Just using a kind of a Scotch-Brite just to kind of polish this up a little bit, take some of the rough scratches out that were in it. I really needed to go a little bit lower, but if anytime your tool is not sliding nice and smooth, just hit your tool rest with a little bit of sandpaper. You might have to kind of go up a few grits, you know, depending on what it's looking like. But you definitely want your tool to be sliding nicely on your tool rest. And the other thing that I'm doing right now is we're going to hit it with some wax just to give it even more slick, more slippery, and it'll make those tools slide nicely. Now, I don't find that I have as much of a problem with this with most of your regular kind of, you know, turning tools, the cutting tools, because of the way you hold them. But I do find, you know, with the carbide tools, because you're holding it flat and just sliding it side to side, you know, it kind of wears on those bars down there a little bit more. So it definitely helps to get nice smooth tool rests. To be honest, I wish Robust made some like these that were flat topped, a little bit bigger. I like those kind of flat square ones. I think that might be a good way to go for your carbide tools. I tend to kind of press hard down on them though too, so if you don't white knuckle it like I do sometimes, it should be good. All right, I'm going to switch over to the carbides. Like I said, I like to knock down corners, you know, with the high-speed steel. But you know, your finisher carbide tools, they're pretty good for shaping. And then I like to come at the end. You don't necessarily need to do all this different tool messing around, but I definitely like the R2 radius. Kind of, it's square, they say, but it's got just a really wide radius. I like to clean it up, take a really light pass with this tool at the end, and it allows me to start sanding. You get that surface real smooth. And I would actually, you know, even if you like high-speed steel tools, unless you're just, you know, amazing, you know, you're great with a skew and you got a perfect finish. I find with like the spindle gouges that I just leave the surface terribly rough. And that's why I like carbides. They seem to be smoother, but that R2, even if you're just using like a spindle gouge, if you came back on that last pass and just kind of cleaned it up with the R2, that might be something worth looking into, even if you use high-speed steel. Let me stop and see what's going on in the chat here. Whoa, Randy. I see a super chat. Oh, Julie too. Oh man, I'm missing the super chats, guys. Thanks for the super chats. I appreciate it. Your order just shipped out today, Julie, by the way, too. Oh, and Doug's here too. Oh man. I'm not sure. Wait, let's see here. Let's see here. I think you guys are talking amongst yourselves. You had no idea? Oh, nice. I'm glad that it kind of helped out to spread the word. I did a stream on these a while ago. I've had these molds from P-Town Subby for quite a while. So we did one when I was streaming on Twitch, but I didn't, you know, those videos just stayed on Twitch and then actually eventually just went away. They were gone. So they only stayed up for like a week, maybe two. So I thought it was time to do it again on YouTube, since I'm keeping them, you know, we're just converting them straight over to something you can watch again, and they're staying there. So I'm glad that kind of introduced you to these things. They're pretty cool. They're really fun. Now, you know, I gotta be honest, I'm not the type of person that really enjoys, you know, fussing around with small amounts of resin, you know, like you have to fill those little voids. I wouldn't do this a lot personally, but because it's kind of tedious, I'd rather just pour like a brick of blanks, you know. But I do enjoy doing that every once in a while. I gotta be honest, I think this round cutter is at the end of its life. So I'm gonna stop. I've been using this on some hard stuff, hard material, and I think that this edge is just kind of dulled. So I'm gonna turn it around a little bit. So one thing to mention, if you're using these, I would probably say any carbide, but definitely with the Easy Wood tools, you don't need to tighten the heck out of it, like with the small end and lots of leverage. Just use the long end. That's all you need, and you don't want to tighten the thing down, really hard. I know some people have kind of gotten them stuck, I guess, and just had some issues, but that cutter's not going to turn on you once you've gotten it just kind of cinched down a bit. Just a little kind of tip, I guess. I'm just kind of nibbling away. I don't know. I just like to have fun on the lathe. I don't really have any set routine of how to go about it. Just try and get most of the bulk of that body down and then kind of focus on shaping it more. This rest is still kind of not amazing. I got to put a little bit of work into sanding that down. Uh-oh, I think I heard lightning. If the lights go out, guys, and the stream stops, you know what happened. All right, so it's looking pretty good. Let's get you guys in here. Hopefully is that kind of, yeah, there you go. It's looking pretty good. I'm telling you, I really like the colors. I really like the segmented wood ones. That's what these were originally, but I really like colors. I mean, it kind of pops. I think a lot of people like that added color effect in these things. Now, one thing, if you, for some reason, are having any issues with bonding, one thing, depending on the type of resin that you use to fill it and what material the mold thing was made out of, something that's not a bad idea to do is just hit it with some the super thin CA glue. And that'll just kind of soak into the pores. Like if there are any gaps between the resin that you use to fill those cavities and the material that the cavity mold was made out of, your CA glue, that super thin stuff, will fill in and help you out. And I would recommend doing this more kind of at the beginning if you're having any issues with separation or anything like that. This will just kind of save your bacon. CA glue is kind of like duct tape in turning. It works well for a lot of things. It can kind of stabilize wood, but I like to use it, when I'm using, I do a lot of materials that have weird things in them that are not necessarily the most ideal surface for bonding with resin, like smooth things or, odd things. And so CA glue can kind of help out, and I douse the insides of these types of blanks with that thin CA glue as well, and I think that's why I don't have blowouts typically. In fact, I haven't had a blowout on a pen blank in years. Last time it happened, I did a lot of research and figured out my newest method, how I do it now, to kind of make sure that I don't have problems, And one of the factors is that CA glue on the inside. It'll fill any little crevices. Now I'm using the R2 at this point because, like I said, you get a really nice smooth surface. Now don't be confused about what I just did with that CA glue. That was not to put a finish on. That was just to add stability if there are any areas in your blank, which this one really didn't have any problems. I just wanted to kind of show you, dousing it. And you can do that as many times as you want. It'll just help you make sure you get through turning without, something coming apart on you. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We lost the computer. Are you guys still there? Am I still broadcasting? Hey, what's up, Ray? I don't know if you can hear me or not. Oh, you guys, okay. That's weird. The computer, like, oh, you know what it was? It was probably my monitors. Just kind of went out for a second. All right, we're okay, but like I said, there's lightning in the area, so if everything goes black, you know what happened, basically. Okay, so where was I? I got to be honest, guys. This tool rest is really sucking, and it makes your life a lot harder if your rest isn't working for you. And I don't want to take the time to mess with it. So I'm going to go back to my old one. This is the old Robust. I was kind of telling you guys at the beginning that I got some new rests, and these are both 4-inch rests. This one's called the Comfort. This one's called Low Profile. And you can see that they're different. And you can't really fit your fingers in here under the bar on a 4-inch. So I went to this one, but I really need to do some work on that, and I don't want to waste you guys' time, especially with power issues possibly. I'd rather kind of get going on this thing as far as we can. And I want to be using the smoothest rest that I got. So I'm having trouble getting my rest here. There we go. Okay. Man, it's like downpouring. I can hear it hitting the ceiling. See how much smoother that is? It's just, you really want to have a nice smooth tool rest surface. It's the difference between a bumpy surface and a nice smooth one on your blank. And you can just move it nice and easy. You're going to get much better results. Now, I'm going to have to come in here on the ends. I don't find that I can get those ends, cleaned up because I put some camber on my blank, so it's coming in at an angle. What I usually do is switch back to the high-speed steel gouge, because I can kind of come in here and just nibble it, and I can get it perfect. I think part of the thing is, I'm sure you can do it with carbide, but I know how to do it with my high-speed steel. So that's what I do. I just come in and just kind of, you can actually even like rest the tool up against your bushing. You don't want to dig it in, but you can rest the bevel on it and just kind of come in here and get that nice and clean. And I kind of try to come back a little bit and just get those ends. You want those ends to be dead perfect on your bushings so that they don't kind of stick out on your pen. It'll definitely make it's kind of one of those little differences. If you got a really low or a really high meeting point with your pen kit, it's kind of a difference between a well-made pen, and one of the differences in quality that people can see. So if you're kind of working on trying to improve the quality of your pens, that's one thing to do, is just make sure you come in and get those edges even so that it hits the component perfect. I'm just doing a little bit of shaping. And again, this is going to become a Sierra pen, Sierra style, or your Wall Street or Gatsby, or I don't know, you guys know all the different ones. It's all the same pretty much kind of thing, just different brands. Oh, there's the thunder. And the thunder rolls. Where's Garth when you need him? Garthzilla. All right, so I think I'm pretty satisfied with that. It's not perfect necessarily. It's not the greatest thing ever. Could probably spend more time on it, but I think it's pretty close. It's a pretty good looking shape. Make sure that let me get my feet out of the way so it doesn't pick those up. That's looking pretty sweet. I really like these colors. It's a good mix. Now, I'm also feeling down here, there's a little bit of a lip. This one's pretty much perfect on this end, but I'm going to come back with my gouge, and I'm going to come in here and kind of clean that edge up, because I don't like that. I want it to be perfect. One thing that helps a lot is if you can get a really bright light on the subject. That's how I usually turn. And then I can see when everything's lined up perfectly. I'll turn that off so it's not blowing you guys out anymore. And I'm going to come back with my R2. Just kind of clean that up a little bit. And like I said, the reason I'm using this R2 is the difference between the surface I get with this, like I could probably start sanding with the 750 grit. I am going to come in just because it's a lot quicker. I'm going to start with 400 now. But I mean, honestly, I could probably start at 750. There's a few little weird lines on there, so 400 is a better shot. But if you can get, that tool, if you can get a nice smooth cut on there, I mean, you can start pretty high. You can see there's some lines down there. But the rest of this blank, with just a little bit of time with the 400, is going to be dead smooth. Let's see here. Have I tried the Easy Chuck? Oh, you know it. Their chuck is my favorite, seriously. It is so fast, and it literally is the easiest chuck that I've tried, at least. That's what that big piece was chucked up with. But I used to have the Infinity from Nova, and that was one of those quick change jaw chuck things and all that. And the thing that I don't like about Nova chucks is when you tighten, everybody on the planet, I don't know, at least maybe I guess in the northern hemisphere or something, but righty is tighty, right? You turn things right to tighten them. And to tighten the chuck jaws on a Nova chuck, it's reverse. It's weird. So you take your chuck key and you go left to tighten the jaws, which always, no matter, I knew that it did that, and every time I'd grab it, I would do it the other way. So I really didn't like that, and so that's one of the things that I like more about the Easy Chuck. I know that's kind of frivolous, but that's one thing that I really like. Righty-tighty, you tighten the thing, and you turn it right, the key, and it tightens the jaws. They close down. The other thing is, though, when I switched to the Easy Chuck, I thought that the Infinity jaws were pretty easy to put on, but the thing that I thought that you had, like every chuck out there, you had to, like they were numbered, right? Like every chuck that I've ever seen, there was numbers on each jaw, and they had to go in a specific quadrant of the chuck, right? Well, that's not the case with the Easy Chuck. You just stick the jaws where in any position. You don't need to worry about numbering or anything. I got one little line down here. Halfway thinking about just pulling the R2 out, but I think I'm gonna get a new piece of sandpaper here. Sometimes a fresh piece will be a little bit more aggressive. There we go. I think that sandpaper piece was just used up. But anyway, yeah, so once I got that Easy Chuck, I was like, oh man, this is by far the best chuck out there. I still use another chuck just because you can't get these jaws from Easy Wood Tools. I like these step jaws, so I use this cheap Barracuda chuck I use these to hold pen blanks when I'm drilling them on the lathe. But for the most part, I use the Easy Chuck for everything at this point. All right, so we got that nice and smooth. I'm actually gonna just give it one more quick pass, very light, just to take out any like deeper scratches from the 400 that I might have put in. Get a light touch, and then from here, now you can go one of two ways. You could put a CA finish on this and that'd be fine. We did use a 3D printed mold thing, so in this case, I think I'm actually going to go with a CA finish on this. I think it's going to work better. But if you had a resin, if these little division lines were all, whatever resin you're using, you could just polish it. I think it's going to be a better look though if we put a CA finish on. So all I do for CA, I'm going to clean that off a little bit. I'm going to hit it with 500. I have this little 500 pad, and this thing just kind of, I don't know. I like doing one little quick sanding step with the 500 here. It's not necessary, but I just feel better about myself when I do it. It'll get anything that's a little bit below the surface because it's a kind of a spongy thing. So I do that before the CA, and then we apply the CA. So I'm just going to wipe this thing off. One thing to watch out for, let's see here. Some chemicals could, depending on what material you printed your, if you 3D printed the mold thing, some chemicals could melt that, depending. So just be kind of a little bit careful with that. I'm thinking like acetone might actually melt that. Definitely acetone is not something you want to use if you printed with ABS. It will melt that plastic. All right. A little worried, guys. We already had one little power flicker and it's coming down out there. So if we lose the broadcast as soon as I get power back up, unless it just doesn't come back, I will turn it back on. Okay, so I'm using let's get in the camera here. This is what I like to put for finishes, Mercury Thin Flex. I just find that I can get it on smoothest, and it just, I don't know, it's the one that I like. CA glues all kind of work good. Just pick one that you like. All I do is just put a little dab on. Little bit of pressure there, but what you want to do is get that on as evenly as possible. That's the key to CA finishes. And that's actually one of the reasons why I don't like mandrels. That is the reason that I switched between centers, because if a mandrel's wobbling, there's almost no way to get your CA finish on a pen smoothly. It's very difficult. So that's one of the reasons why having this thing, this is the most accurate setup you're going to get directly between centers, and it just, once I switched to that, I was getting a way better finish. If you have a bunch of ridges or areas where it's like low spots because the blank's moving, you tend to sand through one area, and that's not fun either. Then you end up having to put on 30 coats of finish. The mandatory super chat, it is not mandatory, but I definitely appreciate it. Jamie, how's it going, man? I hope you're doing good over in the UK. Oh, one thing that I wanted to mention, guys. A couple of weeks ago we did the Brad Geiger tribute blanks, and I sold them, and so we raised $220 from those blanks. There was how does that work out? 3, 6, 9, 10, 11 of them. There was 11 blanks. We made 220 bucks. And then I'm gonna match that, and we're gonna donate that in. And I actually, most likely what I'm gonna do is so 220 came from the sales of the blanks. 440 is what, me doubling it is gonna be in adding the same amount from my pocket. I think what I'm gonna do is just donate 500 even to that GoFundMe for Brad's family. So I wanna thank everybody that bought tribute blanks. Thank you for helping support that. It's going to be going to a good cause, and couldn't have done it without you guys. All right, now I put one coat on, and I don't use any accelerators, but then after that first coat is kind of soaked in and sealed off the top, there's really no reason to stand around waiting for your CA to finish up. The reason that I don't use an accelerator on that first one is it will kind of absorb into any areas, voids or anything like that. So I like to just leave it on, let it kind of finish and stay thin, until it kind of sets up. But every coat after that, I'm going to go with the accelerator. And for mercury, I've never gotten an issue. I know some people claim that accelerators can cause this problem or that problem. I've never seen that before myself. So I use it. And I think that may be one factor that could maybe affect that. Oh, there's the thunder. Is, well, two factors. One, maybe the brand that you're using doesn't work very well. Some of them can be a little bit more bubbly. They can foam up if they cure too quick. So that may be the problem. It might require you to switch if you're having problems. The other issue that it might be is it could be moisture. If you're in a really humid area, the moisture could maybe cause it to kick quicker. And then you add accelerant and it could cause some issues maybe. Those are just two ideas, but I've never had any issues with mercury personally. So let me see here. What's going on with Jamie? I don't have any trouble getting with bushings. I just use the regular metal ones. Frankly, I don't like those conical ones. I can't get the finish on very smooth. And so I don't load up a ton of CA glue on these things. I just put 4 coats on. This is usually my pretty typical finish schedule for CA finishes. I'm gonna put 4 coats on, make sure that it's dry. I'm gonna sand it back. The big thing with a finish is it needs to be dead smooth. That's how you're gonna get nice glossy look without a bunch of weird streaks and things. And so I'm gonna sand it back with 400. Again, we put 4 coats on. I'm using the Mercury Thin Flex, so I'm not even using like one of those thick glob it on, like a medium or thicker. It's a pretty thin material. 4 coats. And as long as your blank is spinning true and you got it on there pretty evenly, where there's not a bunch of like really deep ridges, because if there's a bunch of like really big bumps, you're gonna have to sand a lot of what you just put on back off to get it smooth. Now any shiny spots are gonna be low spots, right? Let's see if I can get this to focus. All right, so you see a couple shiny spots there. So what we want to do is get rid of the majority of those. Now this doesn't have to be perfect because I'm going to actually put 4 more coats on. But this is the best way that I've found. About 8 coats, as long as your blank was relatively smooth. Now if you got a bunch of pits and things like on pine cone blanks, sometimes they might have little divots and things. You might have to load up a lot more CA glue or fill holes or something, grain. In that case, you might need to do something a little bit different. But with 8 coats of thin, as long as you're not slopping it all over the bushings, I don't really find that I have too much of a problem with them sticking. But they will kind of stick, and I just kind of tap them on something metal, and I'll kind of show you that at the end. And usually it'll just kind of pop loose. So as long as you haven't loaded it up. Now one thing I will say, I have tried using gloves. So a lot of people use like a baggie to apply CA glue or gloves. I'm using a paper towel, so it's absorbing some of what I put on there. If you're just gonna lop it on there and then spread it around with your finger, you're gonna get your bushings stuck. So I would not use this method if you're doing it that way. I think this works the best with paper towels because it's gonna absorb some of it. All right, so let me stop real quick. Jamie's good. I gotta check out your recent video. Man, you've been putting videos up like a madman. It's been awesome. Really cool ones too. How'd that pine cone turn? I haven't seen any posts on it. Thanks, Jamie. I appreciate it, man. The thumbs up. Yeah, it definitely does help out. Definitely does. I appreciate all the thumbs upses and shares and comments and all that good stuff. It all helps out. All right, so like I said, we got 4 coats on. Now I'm going to go back to the same thing, same product, everything. I'm gonna put 4 more coats on, and then we're gonna be ready to rock and roll. Yeah, I usually wet sand above 400 as well. That 500 that's kind of a weird one. I don't sand a lot, you know, I'm not sanding a lot with that. I'm just kind of touching up, getting anything that might be kind of below the surface that the Abernet 400 didn't get for some reason. I don't know, like I said, it's just a weird thing for me. But once we get, you know, that 400 done on this one, then I'm just gonna skip up to the 750, and that's the Zona polishing papers. So I'm kind of the same. Oh, must have had a little bit of that accelerator still on there. Let me stop and look at this, because I kind of got some drag when I was applying that, so which means it either just wasn't fully cured up in some places, or it might have had a little accelerant. But I think we're okay. I don't see any major problems there. It's good to kind of double check with the back of your finger to see, just to make sure you got that previous coat is fully set up. All right, so I think we got 8 coats on total now. So once again, the game is you got to get a dead smooth surface to have a nice glossy finish. So again, I'm going to go back to the 400, but I don't want to spend a lot of time with this. I just want to get it as good as, you know, good enough basically to where the higher grits are going to take care of any other issues. So just enough sanding to get it smoothed out and remove most of those low spots. And that's probably pretty good. I'm going to give it one kind of like just a quick one. Not very much pressure applying there. With the 400, I'm going to come in with this 500 real quick, just for the heck of it. And then, like I said before, then I move up into polishing. Now, I will say, for your best bet, and you know, it's kind of one of those things like do as I say, or not as I do. The reason that I don't use water for lower grits is because I'm kind of lazy and I don't want to have to like dry it off every time and make sure that I've gotten all the scratches out. I like dry sanding because it's quicker. I can just blow it off, double check and make sure that, you know, I did enough work on that grit, and then I can move on. And this kind of more applies if I'm, you know, going up through grits on something, but I'm in the habit of doing it this way. Your best bet to make sure that you don't get any issues is to wet sand off the bat with every grit. You want to, the biggest problem that you're going to run into with, trying to sand resin or finish or any of that stuff is going to be heat and clogging your paper, and water is going to take care of both of those problems. But if you turn your speeds down, you know, quite a ways, you know, below 500 RPMs basically, and don't put a lot of pressure and make sure you're cleaning that paper out well, then you should be okay, you know, up to a point. But really, you don't really want to be dry sanding with papers that are super dense like these things. They just don't really work that well dry. They're going to just work a lot better for you wet. So good point. Good point. Now this is Zona paper. I like this stuff. It's like micro mesh basically, but it's like cheaper. And I like the thin paper. I don't like those thick pad things. They're kind of like firm pads on micro mesh. And then actually micro mesh does sell a paper product like this, but it's every grit number You know, it has like however many 9 grits or whatever in the pack, and they're all different gray. So I'm just like, I will pay less, use the Zona, and you know, 750's green, 1150's gray, and then there's, you know, there's like 4 or 5 grits with the Zona. I only use 750 and 1150 usually, because I finish up with buffing wheels. Okay, now again, if you're doing a CA finish, what you don't want to do is sand all of the finish that you just applied off. Just do enough sanding, make sure everything's good to go, that you've gotten, you know, whatever the previous grit scratch level was out. It helps to have a raking light. So I'm actually going to hit my light. It's going to blow you guys out, but you want to have the light in front of the blank and the light coming down and raking and bouncing into your eyes. Then you'll be able to see if you've missed any areas with your 750, that, you know, if there's any 400 grit scratches left that you missed. It looked like there was a few on this end, so I'm just going to give it a little bit more time with the 750, but overall it looked good. Okay, then we're going to move up to 1150. I'm going to turn this off because at this point, if you can get it up to around 11, you know, 1,000 to 1,200 grit, then your buffing wheels will take care of the rest. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of time with this 1150, and I'm going to know that I'm good to go. So we went up. So one thing that's cool up in Tahoe here, they have a really cool Shakespeare festival kind of thing. I always thought that was like, I guess you know what I'm thinking. I always thought that Shakespeare festivals were like Renaissance fairs. I think that's the problem, because I didn't realize what they were. But so there's a Shakespeare festival up here, and it's really cool. You're up on the beach, and it starts at like sunset, and then it goes into night. And so we were up there, we watched one. We always get tickets when they are available in January. So it was kind of a weird one. It was the Taming of the Shrew. Kind of a weird story, got to be honest. Kind of left me like, okay, you know, at the end, but it was really cool. So we got a little bit of culture last night up at Tahoe. We had some friends in town the night before, so we went up and they rented, you know, those side-by-side, the Razors, the Polaris Razor side-by-side off-road things. So we did a little of that and hung out. So it's been a cool couple of days up here. All right, so it's looking pretty good. So that's about 1,100 grit. It's already looking, you know, that's, at this point, you're kind of at a matte finish look. So we're already at that. Now I'm gonna move the camera back, show you guys what I do to get these bushings off. Now a lot of times, as long as I have only put like about 8 coats on, and oh, there's some more thunder. And I did everything pretty well. It was a pretty smooth finish. A lot of times they'll just pop right off. It'll just, the tube will come out of the bushings, no problem. However, this is what I do to make sure that it comes out. So let's see here. I want to make sure that you guys are seeing what I'm doing. So I'm taking it off the lathe over here, and they're usually one side is a little bit more stuck than the other. I mean, they're not falling out or anything. So what I do is my tailstock on my Comet is just a nice hard area. You can see that I've chipped the paint off. What I do, let's make sure that you guys can see, I just tap it and they pop right out. Now what you're gonna have though, and every once in a while you could chip the finish. I mean, it's possible, but if you don't have a giant glob of it, you know, you just have a fairly thin finish on there, it shouldn't crack. However, there may be little areas on this that there's like CA glue kind of hanging over the edge, so you don't want to accidentally like grab it because it could peel it off. So I turn it around. That one wasn't really stuck anyway. There is a little bit of CA glue on these. I don't know if you can see that or not, but where are we at? I'll get behind the camera and make sure that you can see that. But if there's not a big glob of it, let me get behind the camera. You should be good. Now, a couple other little tricks up my sleeve. A couple things that you don't want is, like I was saying, there could be you could have a little bit of finish kind of hanging over the edges of your tube. So you want to get rid of that. And this is the only thing that I actually use a pen mandrel for. This is my old, I started turning it with my dad's shopsmith, so I have a mandrel, pen mandrel. And all I've done here is, let me zoom out. I got a pen mandrel. I literally used a hole punch, like a normal paper hole punch. This is Abranet 240 grit, but this has a nice 90 degree, this should be pretty well 90 degrees to the shaft, right? So you put your paper there and you slide that over there, and very carefully, you don't want to do a lot, but just sand it down, and that will take any off-ending material off, and it'll also just ensure that this end is dead square to your tube. So I just put pressure. I want it to follow that tube, so I'm just pushing down and turning. You don't want it to be off angle. You want to make sure that this thing's staying down on that tube. And just put a little bit of pressure. Oh, there's another power glitch. And that just makes sure that you are good to go. The other thing that I do, I'm a little bit crazy, I know, I'm a little anal about this, but if you've ever tried to put your components together and then it cracked the finish because you had finish hanging off, it only takes like one time that happens that you start doing this. So now I'm taking 1,000 grit silicon carbide and just kind of rounding that over. It's not going to be noticeable. It's not going to cause any, noticeable difference, but it will make sure that these edges you can't catch them or do anything weird and peel your finish off when you're assembling your pen. Okay, so that was a lot of instruction and a lot of tips. Now we're just going to buff. Sorry, that's the closest I can get the camera over there. My cord is, I'm out of cord. So let me stop real quick. I need to switch my battery out of this light. While I'm doing this, I can kind of talk about the buffing wheel. So that's the Beal buffing system. I like that, the Beal wheels. I use the Tripoli wheel, Tripoly, not to be confused with EEE Ultra Shine. This is not a sanding paste thing. It's a buffing compound, Tripoli. And Tripoli buffing compound is the brown one. Okay, so that's this wheel, and it's a little bit of a firmer wheel when you get it from the Beal system. You can also get individual wheels and a little mandrel so that you can just pop them on and off. That's not a bad way to go either. But I bought this thing, it's called the 3-on. It had 3 wheels. There was one that was a wax wheel, but I only used the Tripoli and the white diamond one, the 2 wheels anyway. So I'm gonna load up a little bit of Tripoli on that Tripoli wheel. The white diamond bar, this is again a buffing rouge. That's what we use on that one. Got a little bit of light there. Let me stop though real quick and just see what's happening over here in Chatland. Hey, Anna B's here. How's it going? Nice. Lots of people. Woo. I'm a little worried, I'm telling you guys, that I keep hearing thunder and... Oh, nice. Sent Doug both my stickers? What? I don't understand what you're talking about. Did he not have them? Huh. Let's see. Sorry guys, I'm just kind of double checking here. Looks like most of you guys are... Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, Michael. They're called TBC bushings, turning between center. And they go between a dead center and a live center. I'm not sure if that's what you were saying. Now, when you're buffing, you don't really want to be breathing in the dust that comes off of this stuff. It's a fine abrasive that you really don't want the particles in your lungs. So I'm going to get an RZ mask here so I'm not breathing it. And I got this thing set up to go about 1,000 RPMs. And let's see here. I'm going to move my water cup so it doesn't fall over. And where'd my pen go? Here it is. Okay, so I do it a little bit by hand. I also have this little tool that you can stick. You got to be careful. You don't want to dig in the leading edge of your blank, but you can do it on the top as long as it's only hitting the back end. But I do it by hand first to get the edges. I don't know, I just kind of have this method of doing it. You can do it however you want, just make sure that you do it enough to get all of those 1150 grit scratches out. Now, if you've done your job and all that's left is like, 1,000 to 1,200 grit scratches on your blank, Triple E will take that out, for sure. And it'll leave it shiny as possible. Shiny as can be. And then the white diamond is just your last step, and it's just gonna bring out that pop gloss. It'll get it perfect. Shiny, shiny. But I mean, I gotta be honest, off the Triple E wheel, it's pretty much good enough. Like it's nice and glossy just doing it off of this wheel. And then that white diamond gets it perfect for that nice glossy finish that you're looking for. So like I said, for some reason, this is my method. I do it a little bit by hand. And then I stick it on that little stick thing it was just something I made. Just grabbed a piece of whatever, wood, just made a little taper. All right, so that ought to be good enough there. Then I do a little bit on the top using the stick. And I'm going to stop and kind of show you guys what this looks like off the Triple E, because this is better than some people's finished product just off Triple E. And so you go with the super high white diamond, you got something that's looking pretty fabulous, And I think there's even a higher rouge. A bunch of people have told me that the blue rouge is even higher, but I imagine that the human eye can't even see the difference. So I mean, that's looking already pretty darn good. You know what I mean? It's pretty glossy, and we're gonna get it even better. All right, so there you have it. On to the white diamond. Now, I don't load up the white diamond nearly as much, just a little bit, and that's it. You don't need a lot of that stuff. I think that might be one problem people have with white diamond, is they're loading up the wheel so much with the stuff that it's not actually buffing out. A little bit will go a long way. Now I'm doing this horizontally at first. I just came off the Triple E wheel, which was putting, abrasive scratches sort of in a vertical motion. Now I'm going to come over to the white diamond, and I'm going to do it perpendicular to what I just did on the other one first. So I want to take out those Triple E scratches sideways first. And then I'm going to put the lengthwise scratches or finish up this way, let's say, on the white diamond, and it just comes out sparkly. Now that's not to say that there aren't other ways that work pretty well. The buffing method for me is just by far the most consistent. I get excellent results consistently. And I know a lot of people that swear by plastic polish or micro mesh, and I think it's one of those things that depending on the way you do things, some things may work better. I just couldn't get plastic polish to do what I wanted it to. It was kind of inconsistent. Some days it seemed like it worked great, other days not so much. So you just got to kind of pick something that works for you. But I will say that I think the buffing thing is something, a lot of people do like it. A A lot of people that swore micro mesh was the best thing on the earth to get a good shine have actually switched at this point, after I kind of said, well, try out buffing wheels and let me know. And they tried it and said, whoa, that works way better. I'm sold. All right, so I'm not trying to sell you on it. If your method works good, there's absolutely no reason to change. But I am saying you might try it. You might be surprised. So I'm going to bring the camera over here a little bit, because I can get a good shot of the blank. Sorry about all the bouncy camera action. But what do you think of that? Now that is shiny. Woo! Is it focusing? It's hard to tell. This viewfinder on this camera, I got a new one not too long ago, and I don't like the viewfinder because I can't tell how well it's looking. It doesn't look like it's in focus to me. That's looking pretty sweet. So let's assemble it. What do you guys think? So I don't know what, I have those lance kits. I think that might be kind of cool on this one. I got this, everybody asked me, where do you get the pen press? This thing, and I got it at Wood World of Texas on closeout, and they don't sell them anymore. So one other quick little tip. So I got this little jar. It's got acetone in it. Acetone will melt CA finish. So you don't want to get acetone on a pen that you just put a CA finish on, number one. But these bushings have a little bit of CA finish on them, so I just dump them in here. It'll melt it, and like generally within like 10 minutes, they're ready to go. Pull them out, wipe them off, and you're good to go. So let me stop real quick. I'm actually going to go over to the big computer because I can see the chat better over here. Just make sure that I'm not missing anything. Shiny as Telly Savalas' head. I love it. Oh man, 10 out of 10, Robert. Woo! Thank you. Yeah, the white diamond definitely. I mean, like I said though, I mean the triple E it's pretty shiny, it's not bad. But yeah, the white's nice. Yeah, I'm telling you, I go in depth, man. The bungling woodworker. I think it's wood. I made it and stuff. I don't know what else to say, I guess. That's the problem. It's a stick. You can make one too. I'm looking at so that's a Sierra style size. Ooh, Monarch Grande. Let's go with this one, guys. I think this might be kind of cool. And I don't think I've ever made this kit before. So this is kind of, I don't even know, what does it say? Does it say what? Gun polish and antique brass. What do you think of that? I think that's going to look good, maybe. We'll try it out. We can always change it if we don't like it. I just pulled that out. I got that at Turner's Warehouse. Monarch Grande. Whatever that is. I don't think I've ever used the Monarch Grande before. So we'll give it a shot. All right, so I've laid out the parts on this little thing. And the way Sierras, if you're new, again, if you're new to pen turning or whatever, haven't really done a lot of it, haven't seen much. The Sierras, Wall Streets, Monarch Grande, Gatsby, and many other similarly, well, not similarly named, but other name, but similar pen kits. They're very simple, and I like using these for stuff because a lot of the pens that I make, I'm not making these for gifts, and I'm not making them to sell them, necessarily. Most of what I'm doing is I'm trying to test things out. Like I'm seeing how well a blank, turns out. Does it look good? And the Sierras are great because I can turn it real quick and get an answer. Because it's one blank and they're super simple to put together. So, and there's many different choices of, they're using the same tube. So the Monarch Grande, the Sierra, the Wall Street 2, the Gatsby, and all these other ones, they have the same exact tube, which means you're using the same bushings, same drill bit, and all kinds of different parts fit into those things. So I like it. It's a cool kit, and most people like the pens too. They're a well-received, well-liked pen. Now, the way this thing works, I just screwed, the transmission screws on, let me make sure that I'm on camera. The transmission, which is this back part, and some of these are slightly different than, not every one of those different named pen kits are the same. This Monarch Grande, the way this works, it's got the transmission. This is the thing that extends your ink. And then this little piece, screw together. So we got that. A lot of times this piece is already just put together in the kit. And this thing is going to go in there, and then this just goes and screws into the tip, the nib. And make sure that I got everything. There you go. Okay, so that part's done. And I'm just going to press this in at the end. The only thing that you actually, by hand, press it in by hand. The only thing that you're actually going to need a press for on the Sierras is the back part, okay? So I got to do this not under the camera. So I'm just going to kind of point that down. And what I'm doing here is, before I assemble this, I want to look and see, how do I want this? And I actually already think, so we got arrows, the chevrons are kind of pointing this way. I think that would look best at the front of the, whoa, that's a little bit thin. Huh. I might have to go with a different kit, guys, because that's actually not, I'm a little thin on that one. The Monarch Grande might be a bigger bushing. Uh-oh. That's why I haven't used that kit before. I usually get to this point and I'm like, oh, that's not going to work. So I'm going to pull out a lance because I'm pretty sure that that's exactly the right bushing. And I just want to double check. Oh, yeah. All right, guys, so Monarch Grande is going to be a different bushing. You can see the difference in size right there. If I hold up the blank, well, that's stupid. See, this is what I don't like about pen kits. If I hold it up, you can see that thing is too thin. Right? Compared to, here's a lance, and this would be the same as the Sierra. There we go. That's how it's supposed to be. So let's go with the lance kit instead. I think it'll look just as good. Most of these kits work. So another one that works with Sierra tubes and all the standard bushings and all that stuff is the Virage. I really like that kit. That's a good one. Let's see here. So you can see this one, this is what I pulled out of that lance kit, and it's just, these parts are already screwed together, basically. One less step real quick. Got my ink, got my spring. Okay, so I'm going to do that same step. I'm going to screw that together on the camera. So this is what that's going to look like. This is what the end cap, or the finial, I guess, looks like on the lance kit. It's kind of like I don't know, King Arthur, Knights of the Round Table, like a lance, like kind of kit. But I think it's going to look good on this one. So now we're back to, we know that these parts are going to actually line up. I kind of like the idea of these chevrons being at the front of the kit. I think that it would just look a little bit more odd. Well, it's not that bad, but I still like them better at the front. And then it doesn't really make any difference which side we put this on. The colors are all the same. The one thing that I will say, though, is if everything's equal, you might look and see if there's just one side just doesn't look as good. There's maybe like a weird blemish. The resin didn't like turn out as well on one part. Maybe one part of the mold, those little lines don't look good. So what I'm going to do, I need to look at this a little bit more carefully. Just make sure. And I think I like this side the best. I could also put it on where the clip is on the other side of this thing, but I kind of think that I like it facing down where those chevrons are. So that's what I'm going to go with. So that was a really long explanation for most of you guys. Are like, I know, just put it together. But some people might enjoy listening to my thoughts. All right, now I'm gonna kind of zoom in on the press. Now this press, the thing is, this press was super expensive. I got it for pretty cheap because it was on closeout. I think Grizzly.com has these, but you're looking at like 60 bucks, and I gotta be honest, this is not worth 60 bucks. The other way to do vertical, I like vertical pressing rather than horizontal, like on the lathe, or what I used to use was a clamp. The problem is you're trying to hold parts together while gravity's pulling them down. It just doesn't make sense. It makes a lot more sense to do it vertically, and you could do that with a clamp. It's not a bad way to go. But the other thing you can do is just use a drill press. Stick something over your chuck that's, you know, non-marring, but it'll press, and then something below it, and you can use your drill press exactly the same way. So that's all I got to say about that. I get this thing the right height. Making sure that my clip is kind of centered on that main band down there. You guys probably aren't seeing getting a really good view of this, but I apologize for that. Now, you don't want to force this stuff, especially if you've got a CA finish on. If it's going in kind of crooked or it's just not working for some reason, you're much better off sanding, like literally sanding the thing that you're trying to press in, or just, you know, pulling it back, because if you try and force it, what's going to happen is you could crack your finish if you're like bending, you know, putting weird forces on the actual tube itself. I'm doing this from like the wrong side. I think the angle for you guys is actually over here. Maybe. There. I think that might be better. I'm having a little bit of trouble with this one. For some reason, it's just not wanting to pop in there. And so, like I said, what I've found is if it isn't really going into the tube, and sometimes you have little minor fluctuations in the size of the tube itself, the actual brass tube, that's just not really working. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to get a little bit of, I'm just looking to see if I can get this clip off of here somehow. Doesn't look like it really does that. But I'm going to get a little bit of sandpaper and actually sand a little bit of this little piece off so that it'll kind of slide in there better. You really don't want to be forcing it. So let's grab some 400 grit. It looks like we're sanding brass here. You got to be careful. You don't want to be sanding your plating, but I'm going to have to get kind of in front of the camera. So I'm just going to kind of try and ease off the size of this piece of brass. You could probably do this on the inside of the blank, I suppose, but I think it'd be a little bit harder to get on the inside. It's generally pretty easy just to sand off a little bit of this. And then in some cases, it might go the other way. You might need to glue it in because the piece just kind of slides right in there. So in that case, you know, I just grab some CA glue, usually one of the slower setting, like a medium. Put a dab in there and then press your parts in so that it'll stay. There's really nothing else that I know of that you can do. It's not like you can make it grow. I like to blow this off so I don't get any weird sanding particles in there. And then now we're back to trying to get this thing to go. Come on, buddy. Work with me here. Most of the time, the Sierra, family kits work fine. You don't have this issue. crooked. Whew. I think I got it. Man, that's a tight fit. Whew. That was a tight fit, guys. All right. I would have felt a lot better taking more material off of that, to be honest. And then now that we got that in, that's looking good. Then you just slide the front end in and you're done. So let me get behind the camera. Let's get under a light a little bit more. And let's see what's going on with this thing. What do you guys think of this? I really like the colors in these things. They're pretty cool. I think that was a good choice of kit. I think it matches pretty well. So, what do you guys think? Let me switch to this view, the intro, and we're back. Never trust a quiet guy. I know, you got to watch Jamie. Yeah, exactly. On the drill press, I think that's a pretty good. It's a cheap way to do it, but you do need to cover it somehow with something. You could even just stick like a. You could even stick a piece of wood in the jaws. You know, that has like a wider round piece that has something skinnier, kind of like a. Almost like the shape of a Forstner bit, I guess is the. I don't know, the easiest thing that I can kind of think of where. You got like a wooden shaft that you're grabbing with the jaws, and then you have a piece of wood. It would be flat and solid down here, but something that you can apply some pressure to. But you won't damage the actual kit components and all that stuff. Mike likes it. Nice. Yeah, I haven't tried any of the paste stuff. I got to be honest, guys. I don't like the paste stuff because it's got oils and waxes in it. And the problem is if you get into a bind, and in some cases I need to get something just done. Like, I'm doing it for a video that needs to go up and I don't have like 5 more hours to keep sanding it. In some cases, I get to the point where I just need to apply a finish to it. And the problem I have with the paste is if you put something with waxes and all this stuff on, then the finish isn't going to stick to it. So, I don't know. That's why I don't really like that stuff. Plus, I haven't really gotten it to work that well for me personally. I haven't tried Axe yet, but I like that stuff on wood, though. It works great. You can send that pen to me. Yeah. Well, go ahead. I'll send it to you after you send me a PayPal. It'll probably be available, but not for a while because I got to get pictures of it for the thumbnail for the video. Let's see here. Just screwing back. Yeah, the Arbor, but the thing is, the Arbor Press from Harbor Freight costs almost as much as that thing too. That's why it's like, it's tough. Unless you need an Arbor Press, it's kind of expensive too. I think they're like $50, possibly. All right, looks like I'm caught up. So I'm going to bring the camera over here. For some reason, I feel like I get better. You guys can see it better under these 2 lights. That's where I get most of my photos, just because the lighting seems to be pretty good over on this little bench thing. We'll get a couple more shots of it for you guys. That's all we got today. We're just going to just wanted to turn a pen up. Now the rest of these things I will be adding to my website as soon as I can. So I'll be posting information about that on Instagram and Facebook. And I'll probably eventually put a link. So this will be available if you want to rewatch the broadcast, this show. It'll be available probably in a couple days, but I'll probably eventually put a link to where these blanks are going to be, the listings are available, the rest of those blanks. Let's see here, turning, there we go. So, I don't know if it's just that I can see the viewfinder better, but it just seems like I get a better picture over here. I like it. I think it's pretty cool. I gotta move the clip a little bit. There we go. Pretty wicked colors. I like it. And that pen will be available. I'll probably let you guys know on Instagram. I'll mention that it's available if anybody wants it. Jamie wants me to put your stickers on the board upside down. Oh man, that's just crazy. Doug, did I never send you any? So is that what's going on? Jamie said that Jamie sent you some and I never did? I'm terrible with stickers, I gotta be honest. Anyway, thanks guys for hanging out today. So if you guys want to rewatch this, what I do is it's gonna go like unlisted. So if you can get back to, you know, like the same page, it'll be available. But I'll have it fully, you know, like the replay ready, probably by Saturday or Sunday. What I do is I just go through and make sure that there's nothing weird going on or whatever, and fix up the thumbnail and all that kind of stuff. So it takes me a little while to get time to do that. But the replay will be up, like I said, within a few days if you want to watch back and see any parts of this. Again, you can get the little blue mold things to make the first step of these molds. The things that have the cavities. These are available at Turner's Warehouse. There's a link already in the description here. And I put one in the chat a while ago. So, but if you missed that, there's a link to where you can get those molds at Turner's Warehouse down in the show notes there. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the stream today. It was a little bit shorter than normal, but I wanted to turn one of these things and show you what's going on. And see, because I know there's a lot of people that were like, what is all this Gisi blank thing about? So, and I got 6 more blanks available, and I'm probably just going to put these guys up for sale on my website, but I got to get pictures and do all this stuff before I can list them. So I'll let you guys know, like I said, keep an eye out on Instagram and Facebook. Make sure to follow me over there so you get notified when that happens. Make sure to, like everybody says, like and share with your friends if you thought this was cool and want to share with them. Make sure to send them my way over to my channel. The word of mouth stuff helps a lot. I appreciate it. But I hope you guys have a great weekend. Have a great evening tonight. And one thing before you all go, I'm going to be leaving town, headed to Hawaii next. Not this Saturday, but next Saturday. So I believe we're still going to be doing a stream on Friday. Keep your eyes peeled on Instagram. I'll let you guys know if for some reason I can't do it. But I think that we should be able to do something. It'll probably be kind of short. We'll just do something kind of fun, make some like hybrid blanks or something kind of simple. Part of the problem is I'm going to be putting something in the pressure pot if we do blanks. And I'm not going to be here the next day, so it's got to be something that's kind of quick to get out of the pots. Otherwise, they're going to be under pressure for 10 days. So I don't want to do that. So anyway, that week, blank sales are not, like orders are not going to be going out. So I'll notify you guys more as that comes up. But tentatively, we should be back in the same place next Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific time, doing something kind of fun, quick before we go to Hawaii. So I hope you guys have a great evening, have a great weekend, and I will see you guys all next week.